I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome all of those that are here present with us and those that may be watching at home or watching later at home. Michelle, do we have any agenda changes for this evening? Perfect. We are at our first public comment session of the evening. Just a quick reminder, the public comment portion of the Board of Education meeting is designed to give members of the public the opportunity to address the board related to school district operations. The board will not permit in public session discussion involving individual district personnel or students. Persons wishing to discuss matters involving individual district personnel or students should present their comments and or concerns to the superintendent of schools during regular business hours. All speakers are to conduct themselves in a civil manner. Obscene language, libelous statements, and threats of violence will not be tolerated. It is not the practice of the board to respond during the meeting to questions posed or comments made by speakers. Therefore, while the board will certainly take any questions or comments you might have under advisement, we will not be responding to any questions. This first session is for agenda-related items. We had nobody that registered to sign up for agenda-related items. Is there anybody that would like to speak to the agenda this evening?
If you want to.
John, I don't know if this is on the agenda or not about the UPK or the RFP.
It is not on the agenda.
If it's not on the agenda, so it'd be the other.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, no problem. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Well, we signed up to speak. Both me and my son to speak. I don't know if it's on the agenda or not, but I still would like to read my statement. So will my son. So my name is Stephanie Wolanski, and I'm here as a parent who directly was affected by the inappropriate material that has made its way into the classroom earlier this year. I want to begin by acknowledging that the teacher at the center of this situation was carried out the entire weight of a failure that was not only hers alone. In fact, from everything we have seen, she appears to have become the fall person for much of a deeper issue within this district. A failure of oversight, miscommunication, and system safeguards. She was placed on paid leave, publicly scrutinized, and ultimately pressured to resign, while those responsible for approving the curriculum, reviewing materials, and ensuring content filters were functioning have faced no public accountability whatsoever. With that understanding, I'm deeply concerned and frankly disturbed that the board is now considering rehiring her as an English teacher with the same group of students that had her as an art teacher without addressing the systematic failures that this situation has caused in the first place. Let me be clear, this is not about attacking the teacher. This is about demanding accountability from the people who actually hold the power, the leadership of this district. There are serious questions that still have not been answered. Who approved the curriculum and why is there no transparency about this process? Parents still do not know who authorized the lesson or who reviewed it and what oversight was exercised. The teacher did not create the curriculum, the district, and did not create the district level approval protocols. She followed them, yet she was the only one who paid the price. Why did the district's content blocking safeguards fail, and why is no one addressing that? The breach of the school's own filtering system allowed inappropriate images to be accessible in the first place. That is not a classroom level mistake. That is an administrative level lapse. Why was the teacher pressured to resign when the real problem lies within internal miscommunication and leadership failure? It is difficult not to see her resignation as a cover for district's own errors rather than a meaningful solution to protect students or repair trust. Why is the board now considering placing her back with the same students without publicly acknowledge what actually happened and went wrong? Resignment without accountability does not solve the problem. It simply pushes it further in the shadows. Most importantly, why are parents' concerns continually being dismissed and minimized? Our children were the ones exposed. Our trusts were the ones that were damaged. Our questions remain unanswered. The board cannot continue to handle the situation as if it were an isolated classroom mistake. It was not. It was a system failure, and system failures require system accountability. Something must change. We need transparency about who approved the curriculum and why the filters failed. Accountability for administrative decisions, not just classroom teachers. Clear procedural fixes to prevent this from happening again. Respect for parents whose voices should matter in decisions affecting their children. That's number one. And the teachers. A thoughtful reassignment process, not just a rushed attempt to quickly restore the status quo. Ignoring these issues or brushing them under the rug helps no one, not the students, not the families, and not the teacher who was made the scapegoat for problems she did not create. This community deserves honesty, responsibility, and meaningful change from the leadership entrusted with our children's safety and education. Please do not compound the district's earlier mistakes by moving forward without addressing the deeper issue at play. Thank you.
Name is Ethan Boyansky, and I was one of the 11-year-olds who saw the inappropriate images in class. I wanted to speak because this has affected me in ways I don't think the adults here really understood. When that happened, I felt scared and confused. I didn't know why something like that would ever show up at school, the place that's supposed to protect us. For weeks after, I had a lot of anxiety. I felt nervous coming to school because I didn't know what was going to happen next. Even talking about this now makes me feel anxious. I also want to say something important. I don't blame the teacher. She didn't want those images to show up. It wasn't her fault that the school's filters didn't work, and it wasn't her decision to approve the lesson. I actually feel bad for her because it feels like she got blamed for something she didn't cause. She was the one everyone looked at just because she was standing in the room the system failed. The part that hurts the most is how the board handled this. We are supposed to be the leaders we look up to, people who set the example. The adults we're supposed to admire and trust. Instead, it feels like no one here took responsibility. Not for the broken system, not for the bad communication, not for approving something that shouldn't have been approved. It feels like the only person who had to face the consequences was the one with the least power, and that isn't fair. If I had been shown something inappropriate at school, even by accident, I would have been punished right away. I would have been told I should have known better. But when the grown-ups make mistakes, it feels like everyone tries to avoid talking about it or tries to pretend it wasn't a big deal, that it was a big deal to us. The students are the ones who had to see the images. We are the ones who felt scared and confused. We're the ones still feeling anxious. And we are the ones watching the adults be less honest and less accountable than you tell us we're supposed to be. I'm asking you, the board, to finally take responsibility, not to hide behind the teacher, not to ignore what happened, but to show us what real leadership looks like. To show us you care about fixing the systems that failed, and to show us that you care about how we feel. Because right now, I'm not proud of how the adults handled this, and I wish I could be. We deserve leaders who protect us, listen to us, and take responsibility when things go wrong. The same way you expect us to. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. It took a lot of guts to stand up there and to talk about that. Is there anybody else that would like to talk for agenda-related items this evening? Okay, then we are on to board and staff reports. Policy committee meeting report. Yeah.
Okay. So today we reviewed the policy of the district vehicles. And the district sent the policy and regulations, the legal and the insurance company for comment and feedback. We're just waiting to hear from them. And then after we hear from them, then we'll bring it up at policy and review it, and then we'll share it with the board. We discussed academic eligibility waiver forms and proposed regulations that go with our policy. And we reviewed policy on public participation at board meetings. And after being advised by legal, we're proposing to add 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers will register by noon the day of the meeting. Questions proposed by the speaker will be answered by the superintendent or the designees. And that's it.
Any questions for Tina?
I do have a question on public participation piece. All in favor of 3 minutes. I think that's a really good idea. I do have some concerns about, obviously, policies, once you have them in place, the issue there is always consistency. And I just want to ask my colleagues if there's any concerns about the requirement that people register. I know before it said recommended. And just sort of what's the thought behind changing it from recommended to required?
My thoughts on that were after speaking with legal and when Colleen was here at the last meeting and stuff, and that was one of her biggest things, other than some other streaming public comments and stuff. So it just gives, everybody a little ideas to why they're here and work. And they can do email, they can call.
I think it also potentially create a situation where the question could be answered by the right person ahead of time and or funneled to the right person.
I think it's a good idea. It's always been a good idea to have it as a recommendation, but we've all in situations where a very well-intentioned person makes the effort to come, takes the courage to come, be here and speak. And then if we're willing to say no to that person, then we're going to be consistent as a board. I'm concerned that if our intent is to have the input of the public before we make decisions, if we're having a hard and fast, we must not, then we need to be prepared to. I think about the meeting we had at one of the schools where a woman got up and talked about the playground. We got up and talked about one of our programs, and it could have affected some of the decision-making in that meeting. So I would like to see it remain as recommended and highly encouraged, but I worry about us sitting here, or any president, you, John, or someone else in the future having to say no to someone who made the effort to come and speak. Again, fully in favor of the 3 minutes. I think that's a great improvement. I just worry about the message that sends when someone makes the effort to come here and turn them away. So just my thoughts.
I'd also suggest that 3 minutes is met with a bit of latitude. Not everybody can wrap it up in 3 minutes. I wouldn't feel comfortable if someone was mid-sentence or midpoint, cutting them right off at 3 minutes. I think that I don't, you're sitting there right now, I don't worry about that, but down the road, I think decisions that you make now, just like to what Randy said, are gonna follow 10 years from now. So it's nice to have guidelines, but kind of went from one end to the other very quickly.
Thank you, Jason.
I did have one other question. Forgot about where it changed to the piece about limiting repeated comments on the same topic. Is that new?
I don't.
It says the board, it's underlined, so I thought it was new, but maybe that's.
I think it's always been in there that if there was going to be multiple people that were speaking on the same topic, that they needed to choose one person to speak on behalf of that topic. I think that's.
So is it new or is it not new? It's underlined. That's what I thought underlined meant that it was new.
We have to run like.
Got an old possibly policy.
No, Randy, that's it. We'll have to get to that and
I would
let you know.
welcome some conversation on that, and also that it says the board reserves the right to limit repeated comments. And what does that mean? In the previous paragraph, it says the majority vote. This says the board. Is it president? Is it a vote? How does that decide? Seems kind of ambiguous.
The words prior. Any group or organization to address the board must identify a single spokesperson. I mean, that is currently item 2, last line. Oh, yeah.
Read it again, Kelly, sorry.
Just recovering from a cold. I apologize. Any group or organization wishing to address the board must identify a single spokesperson.
Okay, that, but the sentence previous to that,
It would be yes.
that's new. That was intentional to add that, that was not there before, and that's, I guess. Those two things, obviously they relate to each other. But it's different, any group or organization wishing to address the board, that's different than comments on a topic multiple times. Two different things. I think that sentence that says reserve the right to limit repeated comments on the same topic. Okay, but what does that mean? I know it says reserves the right, but is that board, does it belong in there at all? These are just things policies are the most important thing we do. And obviously, this is gonna be subject to public input, so I wanna make sure before it has the first reading that you know what you want to say. So will this be first reading? I think we gotta come next meeting. Sure.
I don't know. I was hoping it would be ready. I'm new to this, remember? I thought that this was like, as you got it, that this was like the first read. The comments and whatever and get together and then it'd be on for the next meeting. But I don't know that.
All my concern is I just want the public to be aware of what, this wasn't made public, was it? I want to make sure this first reading should be really the next meeting to me, as far as the public. Really, it's for the public to have the opportunity to be able to digest what it says and then comment. So
Absolutely.
Go into your questions and let you know.
Other thoughts, comments? Thank you, team. Superintendent of Schools report, Dr. Larry Schmiegel.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to begin with our new Director of Health, PE and Athletics, Mr. Russo.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me here. I'm going to start off first with some of our student athletes before I give a brief summary of our fall season.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maddox Corey. I'm a representative for our varsity boys cross country team. I've been a captain of our team for the last 2 years. And I've been on team, a member of the team for 4 years. I've seen it grow and change a lot. I would like to talk to you a little bit about this season and some of the accomplishments that we made. This year, our boys finished with a 4-4 record in the Frontier League, which is one of our best in the past few years, just because cross country is not something that everybody wants to do. So that was a really big improvement from our last 2 years. We had a large team of seniors, who I think we're graduating 7 this year, including myself. And we finished, I think we had 3 finish in Watertown's top 40 all time this season. So that was really big too. And seeing that recognition for a team that hasn't gotten a lot in a long period of time was really nice. Sectionals this year, we sent our top 10 athletes, which also included more than 1 freshman, which was really, that's not something you see very often either. So that was nice. And how many did we send? I believe we sent 7 of our top 10 under 19 minutes in a 5K, which for those of you who don't know, that's a very big accomplishment and something that's incredibly hard to do. So big props to all those people that were able to accomplish that this year. And I'd like to make note that my time on just Watertown athletics in general especially cross country, has changed the way I view so many things, including opportunities, leadership and all that. So that's a bit, and that's really thanks to you guys and the opportunities you give us as athletes. So I'd like to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Brindis. And I'm Karana Carpenter. I'm representing the varsity tennis team. I've been a part of the team since my 8th grade year as a manager, and this is my 3rd year playing as a sophomore. And we were very privileged this season to have our new courts. They were much needed. They hadn't been redone, I believe, in like 52 years it was. So it was really nice to have new courts to play on. And we had a lot of new girls this season. Last year we lost quite a few seniors. So being able to have new girls on the team was really nice for us. And we hosted the Frontier League tournament and the sectionals tournament for the first time. We placed 2nd in the Frontier League tournament, and then we sent both of our doubles teams sectionals to.
I love the sport personally because you make a lot of good friendships throughout the way, even not just your team, but other teams when you go to play them, you make more friends on the way. I played since sophomore year and I was 2nd doubles, and then I moved up junior year to 3rd singles, and I've loved my whole experience on the team since then.
And we want to thank you for having our courts redone and for everything we've been privileged to have this season.
They're gorgeous. The courts came out great.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Can I ask you three a question? Do you like the sports that you do because it's just like it's an individual sport, like you're just against yourself instead of being on a team? Do you like that better or do you?
So I run track as well, and we've always called it an individual team sport. So while you compete for yourself, you're still scoring points for your team and we're all succeeding together. So I wouldn't say so much that I like it being individual. Although it is nice to be able to like push myself to be the best I can be, but definitely I think the team is still, that's really important.
Yeah, I agree. It's really nice to be able to play for myself and have my own achievements, but also contributing to my team and making our overall season better. And being able to just like have the team overall to support you throughout the way has been really nice.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Second, 1 second.
I have your certification.
Thank you so much for sharing your time with us tonight.
Thank you.
Carry on.
Okay. They're a tough group to follow up, but I'll do the best that I can.
You go, Greg.
Okay. This is a
I'm
list.
sorry, Tina, we just got a message that they can't hear the people that are streaming the meeting, the voice, that they can't hear what's being said.
So this is a list of our varsity and JV teams that we have for the fall season. You know, what I would like ultimately is to have more participation where we can have more JV teams so that this way there are more opportunities for kids to play. I think we're in a really good spot, but I think we can do a little bit better. And the offerings that we have, it really fits the needs of the kids. All right. Case Middle School. We're fortunate to have 7th and 8th grade girls and boys soccer, where many schools in the area are limited to only one of those teams. We have boys and girls cross country feeds into our varsity program, just as soccer does as well. We have football, and of course, girls swimming, one of our most acclaimed programs. Right. This fall season at Watertown High School, we had our 11 teams. We had 262 student athletes participate. At Case Middle School, with our 8 teams, we had 159 student athletes for a total of 421. So you can see the impact of having these teams and what it does for our kids, just as our student athletes just told all of you. Gives them a great opportunity to make new friends, represent their community, and to really push themselves with individual and team goals. Something that I've started this fall is a student advisory athletic committee. Every 2 weeks, I meet with varsity and JV players from all the seasons, and we discuss best practices, direction in which we'd like to take the athletic program. I talk to them what happens behind the scenes at some of our frontier meetings, some of our sectional meetings, and really what I have to do on a daily basis to ensure that they have a safe environment to play. And in addition to that, all the things that go into making their scheduling. It also gives an opportunity for the students, just like you just saw, to share their experience and ideas. And from that, I come up with initiatives along with them. Some of the outcomes that we have had is, first, they've asked for increased accountability for their team captains at the varsity and JV level. So what I have done is, in the winter season, I put together a packet for captain candidates. During our winter meeting with the coaches, I discussed leadership. I discussed, what it takes to be a good follower as well, and who should be the person that should be in charge of the team, from the students, and how they're going to serve as a liaison between team and the coach and the team and myself. So oftentimes it becomes a popularity contest. Through an application process, anybody on the team can put their name in to be nominated as a captain, and then it's up to the coaches and the players to decide who they're going to want eventually to be the captain. So it gives them a few questions that they have to answer, along with the reasons why they want to be the captain. So it gives them a chance to reflect a little bit. We're hoping to increase some school spirit. Starting this winter, we're going to have theme weeks. For instance, 1 week might be girls basketball, second week might be wrestling. And we're coming up with ideas of how we're going to promote our individual teams. Some teams are a little bit more popular than others, and that's something that we've discussed that we want to change. A sport such as swimming doesn't necessarily get the same turnout as football, but we're going to work very hard so that this way all the kids feel valued and they get to see their friends in the stands to cheer them on. One other initiative that we're going to have is we're going to try and put together a student section for all of our home games. I'm working with a couple of kids to order off some sections for basketball games and for wrestling as well, and to get the cheerleaders involved so that this way we can have a little bit more school spirit. Also in the morning announcements, we're going to have all the home games announced so that this way everybody in the student body has an idea of who is in action for that particular day. Something else that they wanted was an athletic study hall. So you can see how important their academics are to them. That's something that we put into place this week. All right, some championships and accomplishments that we had during this past season. We had 21 varsity all-stars. Okay, we had a varsity girls soccer sectional home game for the first time in many years. Our varsity cheerleading at one of their competitions, they were given a sportsmanship award. Our girls tennis team hosted the Division I and Division II championships here at Watertown. And again, without the renovations of the courts, this would not have been possible. Varsity boys soccer were their Frontier League champions. And of course, our varsity girls swimming team, for how many years have they been consecutive Frontier League champions? Just add another number to the banner. And we're also blessed. Molly Dickinson, individual state qualifier for varsity girls swimming. She will be competing at the States this week. Hopefully she'll come back with a couple of medals around her neck, but either way, she's made us extremely proud. Thank you very much for giving me your time. Thank you very much.
How long have you been here now, Mr. Maggie?
I started the beginning of September, so
It's early.
about
Yeah.
2 months, yes.
But in this early phase, do you have any observations on huge opportunities, big dreams for the athletic department?
I want it to be student-centered. I want the students to have a voice, and I want to listen to their ideas, and I want to put them in motion. You know, as adults, we're here to serve them. And it's very easy sometimes to do things from top down. I know what's good for the kids. Sometimes we have to put them in a direction where we want to make sure that they stay on the straight and narrow. But ultimately, you know, I want students to know that they are here to get an education first. As they go on to college, it's great if they can play on an athletic team. However, you know, that shouldn't dictate where they go to college or whatever their next steps might be. I'm looking to put together a well-rounded individual, so when they leave this place, they have a really good taste in their mouth and they're proud to be a Watertown athlete. So happy to be a Cyclone.
Any questions for Mr. Russo?
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you so much for your time tonight.
The next thing is just an update on our capital project. So I've invited them back. Our capital project team will be here in January to present to the board. This morning I hosted my first grant connection. So I opened up the opportunity for grandparents to come in this morning. Had a wonderful conversation with some grandparents that were able to make it. Last week was World Kindness Week. We did a lot of initiatives throughout the district. So I just want to thank our staff for working with our students on World Kindness. Dual enrollment, I signed a contract within the last few weeks for dual enrollment for our students. So we're going to be opening up dual enrollment opportunities for all students. So there'll be more information coming out regarding that. The other thing that I want to mention, and this is kudos to Lynn and her team, we have seen an increase of 50+ families participate in Food for Families. So thank you to all of our volunteers and Lynn for your leadership on that. And today we had the opportunity with our student advisory kids to continue the conversation on rigor, resilience, and relevance. And so our students did a great job on that, and we're going to continue doing that. At the end, we gave them an opportunity to talk about parking lot things that they wanted to discuss. And one of our 7th grade students, I believe he is, said that he wants to do something for Christmas. So we're planning on something where we can get back to the community for Christmas, and more to come regarding that. And the senior on the group said that they would like reserved parking. So those are 2 things that they would like to focus on. But that concludes my comments.
Michelle, items for consent agenda.
Resolved that consent agenda items A through E are hereby approved.
Any motion, please? Randy, second. Melanie, discussion. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Items for board action. A, approval of agreement.
Resolved that approval of a fiscal sponsorship agreement between the United Way of Northern New York and the Watertown City School District effective September 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026 is hereby approved.
Would like to make a motion? Tina, and the second? Melanie, discussion.
I have a question. Have we done this before, this agreement?
So this is our first time. We had met with Northern Community Foundation separately last year and then separately with United Way. So United Way, this is their first agreement to step up and help with the finance portion of the Food for Families.
So I'm assuming legal has to do with this.
Correct.
Was there any concern about the reference to not being able to influence legislation?
No, because the finances are directly through United Way. So they did not feel like our district policies would cover United Way's activities.
Am I reading this right? It says the sponsored organization, that's us,
Yes.
shall not attempt to influence legislation. I didn't know, and maybe that's not, maybe we don't, but I want to make sure we don't get in a situation where I know we're having those conversations with our legislators now, especially at the state level. And maybe that is a very strict interpretation that doesn't apply to us, but I didn't know if that was a factor. And I apologize, I just went to the meeting, otherwise I would have called you ahead of time.
That was not legal's interpretation of
Okay.
that. Yeah, what they're doing is collecting the money and literally writing the check to purchase.
And have the fee always been 15% pay to them?
So they haven't done this before for us. They have managed some of our money and now they're managing all of it. I'd have to look and see if there was a percentage in the part that they managed before I can get back to them.
I'm concerned with that.
The two options. What we know is the district cannot house the money. So
What do they, just, I'm not questioning what they do, but just what do they provide in terms of? They receive the funds, they disperse the funds, they get involved in any way in the actual disbursement of the.
that's what we know. That would be
So
the
what's
policy.
the fiscal sponsor fees?
Fiscals, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. 4B, approval of personnel report.
Resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, Dr. Larry Schmidl, the Board of Education hereby approves the following: resignations, leave of absence, appointments probationary instructional, appointment term non-probationary instructional, lead teacher, permanent, provisional, substitutes instructional, substitutes non-instructional.
Motion, please. Tina, and the second. Melanie, discussion. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item C, approval of an administrative paid leave.
Resolved that upon the recommendation of Dr. Larry Schmidl, superintendent of schools, to approve administrative leave of a non-instructional employee effective November 5th, 2025, is hereby approved.
Motion. Tina, for the second. Ollie, discussion. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item E, approval of an anonymous donation. Oh, sorry, I skipped right over. Item D, approval of an education field trip. Didn't even know myself.
Resolved that the educational student trip as presented to the board is hereby approved.
Motion, please. Melanie, and a second. Tina, discussion. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, now,
Molly Dickinson, that was one of those.
yes, good luck to her, absolutely. Now we are on to E, approval of an anonymous donation.
Resolved that an anonymous donation for 20 Walmart gift cards in $25 increments worth a total of $500 has been received. This donation is designated for district-wide students and families in need during the holiday season. This is gratefully accepted and approved and will be acknowledged in writing.
Would like to make that motion? Tina, and a second. Polly, discussion. Just like to say thank you. You know that we've got families that can use it. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item F, approval of a donation.
Let a donation for 3 Price Chopper gift cards in $25 increments and 3 family meals has been received from Mrs. Julie Reichert. This donation is designated for district-wide students and families in need during the holiday season. It is gratefully accepted and approved and will be acknowledged in writing.
Motion, please. Melanie, and a second. Polly, discussion. Okay, thank you again very much. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item G, approval of donation.
Resolved that a donation of $200 from Wait Toilet to support the New Matter event. This donation is gratefully accepted and approved and will be acknowledged in writing.
Motion please. Oh, yes. Rand, discussion. I've got some more information on the matter event coming up that Dr. Amy shared with me, but thank you to Wake for supporting that. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item H, approval of a donation.
Thanksgiving cookies with a value of $106.76 has been received from the Booster Club. This donation is designated for district-wide students, families in need during the holiday season. It is gratefully accepted and approved and will be acknowledged in writing.
And stuff. Valid discussion. Thanks. And a lot of support for our families. All those in favor? Any opposed? Item I, approval of donation.
A donation for 3 Thanksgiving meals has been received from a community member, Shanice Wallace. This donation is designated for district-wide students and families in need during the holiday season and is gratefully accepted and approved and will be acknowledged in writing.
Motion please. Oh, and a second. Tina, discussion.
Question, when that program like that is done, how do they determine?
The homeschool coordinators and kind of get together.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item J, approval of a new club and advisor.
Resolved that the formation of the Southlands Together Weekend Volunteer Club as an extracurricular club at the Watertown High School with Julie Higgins as the advisor is hereby approved.
This. Melanie, in a second. Tina, discussion.
I have a question. I noticed on the forum it said approval of an implementation. So if the club approved tonight, does it not start until next fall or does it start?
It would start, this is a club that we've had in the past, so it would start.
And what, is there any stipulation guidelines or is it totally different?
As far as when it's,
Any club?
the principal is one that signs off on it before it comes to the board.
Does the principal have any written policies on them or is it just at their discretion?
There is board policy and clubs.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed?
The end of the resolutions.
Thank you very much. We are at the second public comments session for anything that is not agenda related. Mr. Goldar, I apologize. I probably should have told you sooner. We cannot take any comments on the UPK issue due to pending litigation tonight. An advisement of our lawyers, so we can't take any comments on UPK program.
Wait, what? We can't comment on UPK, like, how do you even know it's gonna be said?
It doesn't matter. We can't take it.
You don't have to respond, but you can't tell the public they can't comment on
Yes,
anything.
yes, we can.
How so? Like, how are you limiting anybody from saying anything? Like, you have no idea what they're gonna say. So how is legal telling the community you can't make comment on a UPK?
This is our board meeting. We set the ground rules for public comment. The ground rules tonight are we will not accept any public comments on UPK. I apologize.
So when are we going to talk about UPK? We have asked for sit downs. We've asked for conversation. When are we going to talk about UPK? So because someone's brought litigation forward, now we're not going to talk about UPK at all. And it's to the detriment of this community, to these parents, and to all of the UPK stakeholders. This is crazy.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak to any topic other than?
Yeah, me. Okay. So since the board wants to try to censor people in talking and making comments about different things, I'm going to be very bold and honest about all my comments tonight. And my first comment is going to be that I sent the board an email with information regarding education law 414 because this board decided that they were going to charge Pop Warner, which is a non-for-profit organization who is literally grooming children for competitive level JV and varsity level sports, and you want to charge them for a one-time event. Initially, you said $3,000, and then you said $1,800. So I sent the board a letter, and I got a response from you, Larry. Like, this seems to be, recurrent behavior from you. Like, we as taxpayers get to talk to our board president, and you seem to overtake that and answer every question for everybody. And it really limits conversation, and it really limits transparency. So we've been told that before by other taxpayers that we don't appreciate that you're responding emails, but since you want to respond to emails, that's fine. So in your email to me, you told me that I mischaracterize what the board and the district's allowed to do. Well, I beg to differ because everything you wrote in your email, I completely said and stated. Education law 414 says that the district has the right to charge for usage, for utilities, for security, whatever that cost is. The district has the right to do that. And that amount initially was designated as $3,000. And then Lori Converse sent a communication out to all the board members, and all of a sudden it went down to $1,800. So the question is, where's your pay scale? Like, what are you saying are the costs of the district? If you can just go from 3,000 to 1,800, where's the breakdown on the costs? And let me just remind you that this institution is a non-for-profit. You're not a for-profit organization. So you get, what do we get back on the dollar from the state? Is it 94, 96, or 97 cents? Larry? You're not going to answer it? That's okay. That's very professional of you. So I think it's 97 cents on the dollar, anywhere between 94 and 97 cents. So if you're charging these people $3,000, you're actually going to get back $2,910, which means it's only costing the taxpayers $90. You can go down to 94%. It's going to cost taxpayers $108. So why are we gouging our children? Disadvantaged. 50% of them are on scholarships to play football. And then you quote Article 8 of the New York State Constitution. And you also, thank you very much, advise that if I don't like what you said, I can go to my state legislators. Well, I did. I went to Scott Gray and I went to Mark Walczak, and I also got comment from the New York State Department of Education. And their feedback to me was that, yes, you can charge. And no one said that you can't charge. You tried to twist my words that I said it was optional. It is not optional. You have the right to charge. But what are you charging for? Where is the breakdown on the cost? Are you saying that it costs $3,000 or $1,800 a day for someone to use the turf field that our taxpayers and our children are using? These are our children. These are our children. And you're gouging them. And when you say also in your letter that your attorneys can't decipher whether other school districts charge I said the average is $250. You also inferred that your attorneys don't know whether those schools are abiding by the law. So now are you inferring that Sackett's and Indian River and all these other neighboring school districts are not following the law? That's obnoxious and ridiculous. No one's doing that. So what I asked the board, John, and I was hoping to get a response from you, is you should be looking at that law. And your Article 8 is a stretch of the law. You keep citing that it's gift of public funds. That law specifically states that it's gift. You can't give public funds to a private corporation. Pop Warner is not a private corporation. It's a non-for-profit. And so is this institution. So I would ask you to not twist my language, and I would still ask the board to look at what you're charging these poor children. A lot of these children don't even have money to play. They have to be donated their equipment. And I'm sorry that Lori Converse is not here because this is close to her heart and something must have happened that she didn't get here. But this is ridiculous. You are getting 97 cents on the dollar and you're charging our community more. I don't understand. You tried to do the same thing to the YMCA with the SAC program. I happened to be at the board at that time. So because we as a majority said, no, you're not doing that to the SAC, it wasn't done. It is really, really tiring that you're constantly coming after our children and saying that our children are future. It's ridiculous. That's my first comment. My second comment is you had suggested, no, actually, I'm not going to say that. Forget it, because we're not allowed to talk about UPK, so we're not going to do that. But in terms, John, I'm going to talk to you. In terms of emailing the board, that's a hindrance. There's a lot of people who don't even think that way. And, you know, you can come in. You're fine. I just said that I didn't think you were going to make it in here. Okay. You know, being that in the past, the practice, and maybe Larry, you don't know this because you haven't been here that long, but historically, the agenda has been posted by 4 p.m. on Fridays. That's no longer the case. Now it's haphazard. I had a text yesterday to find out where the agenda is. So given that the agenda is inconsistently on a timely basis, it makes it very difficult for people to plan, and it makes it very difficult for people to email at the last minute. This young lady here, Stephanie Boyansky, she was texting me because she was nervous that someone responded to her and said, what are you going to talk about? And she didn't have time to respond. And I said to her, don't worry about it. The president's not he'll allow you to talk. So it's just, we need to be more inviting to our community. I'm sad to hear that some of you on the board wanted to entertain the idea of not streaming public comments and not streaming the meeting. That's terrible. That's a step backwards. We started that during COVID and it's the best thing that we've done. But it's hard sometimes to have to listen to me say the truth because no one wants to hear the truth. So I think it's terrible that anyone even considered that. But in terms of emailing, I would ask you to please not enforce that. It's going to make it very difficult for people to come and to, you know, you might not have time to read it. It's just a lot. And I think that a lot of the people who have the courage to come here and say something, they're saying something valid, and they should not be they should not be made to feel like they're not welcome. So I would ask you to please consider that. And I don't know if you're going to, Tina, following your leader's footsteps, but I would like some clarification on what you said earlier today with the policy that you sent it to the attorneys for the policy on the vehicles. Can you elaborate on what is being discussed for a policy with vehicles? I know we've never had one, so obviously this is a new one. So can you elaborate on what exactly is being looked at in terms of vehicles since we have 5, I believe we have 5 vans and we have an $85,000 denali that we don't need in a community who's a family member of 4 makes $50,000.
I got to correct you there. The district does not own a Denali.
Who owns a Denali?
I own a Denali.
No.
It's my personal vehicle.
No, don't even go there. It's a black vehicle. What's the black Denali with all the decals on it? Where are they?
It's not a Denali.
Well, okay, whatever. It's a Yukon, whatever. It's an $85,000 vehicle.
It's a state bid based model.
Okay. We don't need that. I was on the board when we purchased that. I don't really care what brand it is. We purchased that vehicle. It cost $85,000 and now there's decals all over it. So don't try to act like you don't. So what? It's not a Denali. It's still a luxury vehicle that this district doesn't need. So I'd like to know, Tina, like, what policy, like what's the content of the policy for the new vehicles?
I will look into that and I'll let you know.
You're the policy chair and you don't know what you turned in.
Well, I don't think we feel comfortable discussing a policy that we haven't presented to the full public.
That's actually, thank you. That's actually a very fair response. Absolutely. If you haven't elaborated, and just to clarify, what Randy said earlier today, so when this new public comment policy comes out, it will be at the next meeting. And so then we can all reserve our comments regarding that policy for the next meeting, correct? Before it's voted on.
I wouldn't ask the public to comment on something they haven't seen.
Oh, no. I'm talking about what Randy was referring to. Yeah. So I just want clarification. So at the next meeting, you're actually going to read the policy. It'll be posted on the agenda so people can read it, decipher it, and think about what they want to say, if they want to say anything. And then after that opportunity for the public to give comment, then after that, the board will decide how they want to modify it, if they want to keep it or whatever they want to do with that policy.
We will make sure public has access to it before it's voted on.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And I will say, to one of your comments,
Sure.
we're making every effort to have the agenda out on Fridays.
Yeah.
Schedules happen, things happen, people get sick.
Exactly. And that's why I think that enforcing this email thing is crazy, because you don't have control, and sometimes you guys don't get to meet until Monday, and sometimes the agenda doesn't go out, and I like time to do my homework. I think people know that I do my homework before I come here, and it's very difficult when you have that little bit. I don't really know what's on the agenda. So I would just say that that's a little bit restrictive. And I would also like to comment, for those of you who don't know, at the city council meetings, at the county legislators meetings, no one's emailing anybody to say, I'm going to talk. They can get up and just talk. That's usually how it goes. Like this district absolutely has the right to implement a policy, but I'm just saying that we're not really following the norms of this community. And at any other open meetings law that open meetings law apply to, nobody has to email anybody. You just get up and talk. Like, I feel like this is becoming, since you've been our superintendent, everything's more and more restrictive. I mean, it's crazy. It doesn't even make in logical sense that we can't talk. And the last thing I'll say, thank you for reminding me, is, we seem to bring legal into everything that we do here. That's been kind of like the middle name for this district. I don't know why we can't have legal at our meetings. What we have them on retainer. Why can't they be on a Zoom visit? And this way the public can ask questions and the public can hear what those legal advices are. Because some of them are a little surprising.
There's no lawyer that's going to speak up at a board meeting.
No, you can be at a lawyer when our tax dollars pay for an attorney. And if there is a question to be asked and the attorney's on there,
they're not going to answer it.
Okay. They may not answer a public question.
They won't answer a question from the board in a public meeting either.
Why?
Because it's legal and they do their research and make sure that they know the law behind it before they answer.
Oh, so the lawyer that sits at the city council meeting, they don't answer questions either? And the lawyers that sit at the county legislators meeting, they don't answer questions? John, no, you're wrong. I'm not gonna argue with you because I really, really like you, but no, that's wrong. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak for public comments? Yes, please.
I won't talk about the UPK because you asked not to. I guess I just don't understand part of it because we're not discussing pending litigation, which I didn't know about. I came up here purposely just to, hope that everybody would work together to make a better solution here is basically all that I was going to say for, next year, because it is about the kids. I understand you don't want to talk about the lawsuit. Again, I didn't know anything about it, and that's very understandable even from a legislative point of view. We don't do the same, but we will allow people to come up and talk and give their thoughts and opinions, and we just remain silent and take it all in. So I think that would be fair. The other thing is I agree with Melly, if you have legal commenting on the lot, you really should have them at the meeting. We do pay for that, just like the city and the county does. They may not answer the public, but they can ask you guys questions, the individual that's here, and then if you guys choose to follow up on it with the attorney should be able to give you their opinion at that time. If it's something that is technical that they're not too sure of, all they would say is, we'll get back to you as a board member. So again, I think it's something you need to look at in the future. Whether they're in Zoom or whether they're in person, we have people, and so does the city. And I think as a government function, you need legal here, just because if somebody does go down a path that you don't want them to, or you don't know, legal would be here and say, oh, wait a minute, we can't discuss that. So right now, somebody could slip on something and say something that they shouldn't, and you don't have legal here to protect you. So I get both sides, but just a piece of advice that you really should have legal here. Thank you.
Speak to public comment this evening.
I just want to point out just this lack of transparency that's going on. We have a parent and a student over here talking about the lack of communication, the lack of transparency. This is an ongoing issue. This is an endemic issue, and I really think that the board needs to really take a hard look at what's going on here. I'm also very terrified of this conversation about public comments. This is really, limiting the public comments, creating this culture of control and silence. That's huge. And I would also leave this with you, John. I would go back to legal and have a conversation, because this, not allowing us to speak about a topic that's relatable to so many people in this district, can be perceived as retaliatory. So I would go back to legal and talk about that.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to speak to public comments?
Okay, so I'm not sure if this is exactly what I can be doing, but I'm Peyton Sousa. I'm just here because I have a government class at JCC and I needed to attend a meeting like this so I could document it, write a paper. I was just wondering if I could see some of you after and maybe get an interview and ask some questions so I can get this thing written in better.
I think you'll find some people that would be willing to accommodate this.
I'd like to talk, was it you talking about
I wasn't talking about anything.
okay, there was someone here came in talking about some inappropriate images.
She left.
She left, okay. I'd like to talk to you because I don't know anything about this UPK thing and it sounds interesting. It sounds like I could get a good grade on it if I put it in my paper. So that would be nice. Thank you.
Thank you. And good luck with your government class. Anybody else for public comment this evening? Okay. Items for discussion or information. We had nothing on the agenda. Is there anything anybody would like to bring up?
We can put that out somewhere is that there is a chain of communication paper. And I don't think that everybody is aware that that is something that exists. So we do like hearing from the public, but also some issues can start with teachers or counselors or principals. And so we have made sure it's updated and printed out a copy here. And I've been told it was also updated on the website. So I just wanted to make sure that that was public knowledge as well.
Thank you, Don. Anything else for discussion or information? Okay, upcoming dates. The Case Musical is this weekend, Friday, November 21st at 7 p.m. And then again on Saturday, 2 shows, the matinee at 1 o'clock and nightcap at 7 o'clock. All of that will occur in the Watertown High School auditorium. Thanksgiving recess is coming up. There will be no school Wednesday, November 26th to Friday, November 28th. And then our next meeting, we will have our finance audit and facilities meeting at 5 o'clock in the district office on Tuesday, December 2nd, followed at 6 o'clock by our regular Board of Education meeting. Board roundtable reflections. I'm going to start with you tonight, Ellen.
time. I do appreciate the athletes coming and saying this to through that student perspective. And another thing is I look forward to he's a musical.
Yeah.
I also can't wait to see the youth, but I think that our kids do a great job. I just wanted to give a shout out to all the athletes, that were in the fall sports and all their accomplishments. And just, we have a lot of kids that do a lot of sports from modified to varsity, and I don't think that they get the accolades that they deserve. Molly Dickinson, hope she swings her little heart out and comes home with something. I think that's awesome. I think she said that she's the only one that got to go to state. Yeah, from the frontier or something.
All from the entire frontier.
So that's it. And I was asked to share with my fellow board members. I was stopped in public and told that this family thinks that we are all doing a great job. To keep it up, I like the direction that the school is going in, and I like the programs that Studo has implemented. They're very happy. Their child is very happy, feels very safe, and feels very protected and supported here in school. So I told them that I would pass that on to my fellow board members. And
I really don't have much to say tonight. I got done with my student survey last week. I'm starting to connect the dots with school problems and with district problems. I should be able to come back December 2nd with a list that our students think that are a problem with our district. I would also like to thank our fall athletes. You guys had an amazing season and I would like to congratulate Molly Dickinson for making it to states. I hope you do bring back some type of medal for us. And that's all I have to say.
And I'm looking forward to your survey results. Casey.
Yeah, I think if we can't have the conversation here. And I understand, I guess, based on what you've said and Mr. Goldo, I still think that at some venue, with someone looking over it or something, I think that we should have that conversation. We didn't last year. And not only to your point, chain of command, a lot of that was followed and it wound up with us. And I just kind of feel like we're gonna repeat the same thing. We're gonna take it and call it something different. But I think it's important when the cameras are off and if we need someone moderating it or whatever to figure out what can be talked about and what can't, that conversation really should take place.
I would concur. I think I understand why we can't, but I'm disappointed that we can't because we do a lot of listening in other venues. We just did some listening with grandparents, and sometimes it's just enough just to listen. I think that's all Mr. Cashman was asking for months ago, was just to listen. And I realize it's a little more complicated now, perhaps, but just your presence here tonight, I want to thank you. Hopeful that we can have an opportunity just to listen and gather information so we can make better decisions. So if we can find a way, as Jason said, that would be ideal. And I said it before, but now there's been some comments to it tonight. I'm all for efficiency and effective meetings, and some of the things that are in this policy help bring that. But I can't support anything that stifles the opportunity for the public to address their elected officials. So between now and then, if there's any tweaking that needs to be done, fine. If not, I'm going to be reluctant to support anything that has a really hard and fast that limits. Good point made tonight about, if the agenda wasn't out until today, that might limit people's opportunity to really effectively participate. So I thought of that. So I'll just want to go on the record again saying that I just think it's a dangerous slippery slope if we start to tighten this a little too much.
Not really much. Well, I just want to thank Russo and the athletic department, student athletes, I'm heading in a good direction. And wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Hope everyone has a chance to spend time with family and friends.
I'll acknowledge we do need to have that conversation. We're going to continue to work with legal to figure out what we can and what we can't do. Without opening the district up for additional liability. I mean, that's obviously the concern. So we'll keep having that conversation, and obviously we're getting towards, the new year, and that's when, we start to have those discussions about what next year is going to look like. So, that discussion needs to happen with a vision in mind of what next year is going to look like. So it's not a hard, fast rule. It's not a done deal. It's a work in progress. So we appreciate your patience. Congratulations to all of our fall athletes. I am so looking forward to the show this weekend. I know the kids have been putting in really, really long hours because I've been driving mine back and forth to rehearsals. Good luck to all of our winter sports as they open up. Officially varsity sports yesterday, and our modified has been going for a little bit here. And thanks to Mr. Russo for coming and presenting. I'm really interested to see where he takes our athletic department. So I think there's a lot of potential there, and I think he's got a lot of experience and can bring that to bear on our athletic department to try to make us better. So, all right. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Thank you for your comments. It's appreciated. And with that, this meeting stands. I need a motion for adjournment, please. Got Randy and Jason. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.